Hey there, so as you might have seen, in Sydney this morning, a 21-year-old French man reversed into the Archibald Fountain in Hyde Park, claiming to be an Uber Eats driver who had been given a wrong turn by the Uber Eats app. He was discovered by police at around 4 a.m. sitting in this car in the fountain, eating the very McDonald's meal he had originally intended to deliver. Now, to be fair to this French 21-year-old, the Archibald Fountain was actually designed by a French sculptor, Francois Sicard, and it was made in France. And not only that, the reason this fountain was built, what this sculpture represents when it was built almost 100 years ago, this is true, is to commemorate the association between Australia and France. I'd argue this car should stay there. I think this should be kind of an addendum to the sculpture to represent Australia-France relations into the modern age. And I'd go even further than that to say, I think this was also the intention of this man, the driver. I think this man's an artist. I think this is a deliberate performance art piece. Think about it. This couldn't represent modernity any better if you tried. We've got McDonald's, Uber Eats, a young man. This represents the angle of the car, represents the potential positivity of the future of the relationship between our two countries. And think about what the man was eating in the car. French fries. Meanwhile, I did some research into the meaning of the specific elements of the fountain as described by the original sculptor, and the centerpiece here is meant to represent the rising sun. The performance art happened just before sunrise. Also, behind the main character here of the fountain, we've got a semicircle. Remind you of anything? Only the most famous semicircles in the Western world, yellow to represent the sun. Also peppered around the basin of the fountain is 6 tortoises, 6 little nuggety guys like that. I don't have to explain what they represent. And if I zoom out on the fountain, you'll see that it involves a holy trinity with 1 main character and 2 supporting characters. Need I say more? Now, I know some of you are thinking that the McDonald's mascots are not a trio, not a holy trinity. They're actually a foursome. We've got Ronald McDonald, Grimace, Hamburglar, and Birdie. Birdie the early bird. What if I told you that this brilliant French artist actually accounted for that in his work, because the car that was used to create the artwork, to crash into the fountain, was a hire car. What brand of hire car? No birds. This work of art is geopolitically apt because Franco-Australian relations are currently in the process of trying to recover from the most significant diplomatic break between the two countries in decades after Australia terminated the submarine program with France. We said no to subs, aka no to Subway, yes to McDonald's. And my final argument that this is all a deliberate performance art piece about the integration between French and Australian culture is that I would argue it's a pastiche. It's a reference to the most important bit of Australian culture we have ever produced. This viral clip, just waiting for a mate. This artist has taken Australia's most important cultural touchstone, a drunk man who crashed his car, continued sitting in the car, and whose excuse to the police was that he's just waiting for a mate. This brilliant artist has taken that and run with it, made it even more extreme. This man had nangs on him, didn't have a driver's license, reversed into a fountain, was eating McDonald's, and his excuse was, I'm at work. Clover Moore, I demand of you, put this car back into that fountain and cover it in bronze.